Hey guys, Xaryu here, and today I want to film another video talking about RMP, but this time we are playing with an assassination rogue. I'm still playing Arcane and our priest is playing Discipline. The playstyle differences between this and sub is actually like quite outstanding. It's going to be a lot different if you're playing with an assassination rogue than if you're playing with a sub rogue. The main difference is, guys, is instead of going for like triple cross EC one-shot setups, a lot of the times we do that as with the sub rogue, we'll get like a double sheep shot with a kidney shot. We'll go for a fear on one, a sheep on one, and then just kill the guy in the kidney, right? Like that is pretty standard for a sub rogue. With an assassination rogue, guys, you have a lot less control, but you have a little more consistent pressure. So in this game, you're going to see that. We're going to be training the feral druid here, and we're going to just be kind of surviving, and we're doing less setup based stuff and more just surviving and killing the target that we want to kill. The rogue is going to do a lot more single target consistent pressure as assassination than he would if he was sub, but he's going to have a little bit less control and maybe a little bit less burst like frequently, but when he has that vendetta cooldown, he is going to do a ton of damage. So the playstyle difference between this and like Frost sub or this and Arcane sub is just crazy. It's like a whole different composition, and I kind of want to walk you guys through that today. So my priest gets full sheeped and I'm running away to try to just survive. I go for another sheep, I juke the kick from the feral, go for one more sheep onto the mage. Feral's still hurt and we're getting some defensive cooldowns here and there. I think Feral's used both of his walls and his trinket. Now full sheep goes onto the pally. Guys, once again, this is a random sheep. I didn't get this sheep out of a kidney shot. I didn't get this sheep out of a sheep shot because guess what? My rogue is assassination. I don't have that luxury. I don't have like a full kidney on the pally to maybe get a fear or a sheep off of. Assassin Arcane is very unscripted. That means when I can get sheeps on the pally, I will. If I can't get sheeps on the pally, I'm going to continue to do damage. We got the sheep into the fear, into the half sheep, the full kidney shot coming out. I don't have a kick for the mage. He's going for the polymorph. Looks like my priest is in a little bit of trouble. Pop mass invis though, so he doesn't get follow-up CC'd, or to try to attempt to stop this follow-up CC. A cheap shot comes out onto the paladin, or no follow-up CC after that, though mainly just to peel everything. So the assassination rogue does have a vanish to cheap shot other targets, but besides that, he has no dances, right? So that's what I mean by a lot less peels. He's using his vendetta cooldown right now on the feral druid. He gets very low. Actually blink and lock out the pally there. Not sure if it's worth. We don't really need that. It seems fine, but almost with this comp, I use defensive counter spells, defensive mass invisibilities, defensive positioning, defensive blinks, instead of quite the opposite when I'm playing sub Frost or sub Arcane RMP. It's very offensive, like offensive mass invisibilities to get these sheeps, offensive mass invisibilities to get the Mark of Lunas, etc. Full kidney shot comes out on the feral. Now the paladin is forced to use his bubble, so now no trinket from the feral, no bubble from the paladin. These guys are getting very, very low on cooldowns. The pally does trinket that fear. I get stunned up here. Feral's getting very low though, 30%, does catch a heal. If we can get any more CC, probably like one or two more goes, this game should be over. Full sheep lands onto the paladin. Feral 50% life. I'm locked out and my rogue is in a sheep though, so it doesn't look like Feral's gonna die. He goes bear form and pops as well, so it looks like he's gonna be okay for now. But with an assassination rogue, guys, the damage is so high and so consistent that if we just keep this up, the feral druid will eventually go down. Tons of damage coming out, blind, full onto the paladin if we can follow it with any CC. The quarter sap comes out. The full sap was available in about 7 seconds, something like that. Didn't have a Blood of Silence or a counterspell for that heal from the paladin. This feral just can't really survive. We have so much consistent pressure on him that he's been defensive for the last like 2 minutes or so, and if he just keeps running around in bear form, it's just not really going to happen. They both don't have kicks available. If I want to, I can go for a full sheep on the paladin, do land the full sheep, and it looks like the feral druid just goes down. So you can just see the tempo difference, guys, between this and then if I was playing sub rogue Arcane Mage. We constantly have pressure. We're constantly killing. We're getting CC when we can. It's less about, okay, we're getting triple stuns, let me get a sheep, and then with that sheep we're gonna burst him 100-0. It's less about that and less about just like, all right, let's kill this guy in a bomb 100-0, and more about keeping up that consistent pressure, getting the CC when you can, and then when you get the CC, hopefully the guy's already 60-50% life, and you're gonna get him a lot lower. Then he's gonna have to use something like a wall. You play a lot more defensive with a lot of your abilities, and you get wins like that. It's another match on Tiger's Peak Arena that I really think exemplifies what I was just talking about with getting less polymorphs. you don't even really need to push in and go for that CC on the healer as much as you would think. You would think, okay, I'm a mage, I want to get a lot of sheeps on this Mistweaver, but I'm going to count the sheeps this game and just kind of see how many full sheeps we're actually getting. To get that Mark of a Lunith out of Mass Invis. In the opener, it's still okay to kind of get a nice big opener like this. We're using, I'm using Arcane Power here, Presence of Mind here. We do get the Shaman's Wall. We're actually beautiful mind control by Cubsy, mind controlling the Shaman away from the pillars, so he's in a spot where we can you know, focus him down. If he's just running around the pillar the whole game, it's very difficult to kill him. It doesn't really matter where the damage is coming or going at this point on the other team. I go for a double sheep trying to get that CC onto the monk. Couldn't quite get it. But what I was just talking about is it doesn't matter if we're hitting the monk. It doesn't matter if we're hitting the warrior. It doesn't matter if we're hitting the enhance. As long as we're keeping up that consistent pressure and we play well defensively, the monk is going to go out of mana and we're going to win this game just by longevity, right? That's kind of where Arcane Assassin is going to prevail, whereas Sub Frost would completely fail in that arena, right? If you're playing Sub Frost, or if you're playing even Arcane Sub, a lot of these games, guys, if you don't win, you lose. And people make fun of me when I say that, like, oh, if you don't win, you lose. Like, ha ha ha, of course, that's obvious. But like, it's really true. If you don't win in a certain time window or a certain clock, you just die. The game is over. Whereas with this composition, you can continue to run, continue to play defensive, and continue to actually just force the defensives and make the other healer out of mana, and then you just win. So it's like, if you don't win, then you just still win, or if you don't lose, then you win. Whereas with Sub Frost, if you don't win, you lose. So it's really the opposite. So here in this match, we're trying to just kind of turtle them out. We're trying to play well defensively. A lot of my counter spells are actually going to the Hex of the Enhanced Shaman, so they don't abuse Hex to try to get kills. We're going to rotate, like there's a Hex right there. I do counter spell the Hex, like I was just talking about. So we're going to counter spell the Hex, kick the Hexes, make sure they can't really get a big CC chain going. And if we, there's the step kick on the Hex. If we can just keep that going defensively, we're going to be okay. I haven't had to use my Trinket really, or my Ice Block, or my Invisibility. I'm totally fine defensively. And like I said, Monk's already at 40% mana. We're going to be able to just win this game in time if we just have a solid defensive game plan. And that's kind of what this comp's about, guys. That's kind of what a lot of comps in WoW are about, and it's a lot different for me. I haven't really been used to playing a comp where it's more about defensive positioning and just living to win. I've been more used to a playstyle where you're actively doing things to win. As far as which one I like better, I enjoy both. Sometimes it gets frustrating playing like this because you're like, man, you know, I wish we could just win the game sooner. Or it's like, man, I almost feel bad that we're not really doing much, but we're gonna win regardless. And I kind of see, like, if the enemies are like, man, this is kind of lame, I kind of see where they're coming from. And that the problem is, if I try to actively do more things, you could definitely ask down in the comments, like, well, why aren't you going for the sheeps on the monk more often? If I'm using my mobility to push in and get CC onto the monk, then I'm using my mobility offensively. If I'm using my mobility offensively, it puts me in a position to die. If I'm counterspelling the Mistweaver monk, guess what? It leaves the shaman open to Hex our healer, and then to kill my rogue or to kill me. So if I'm using my abilities offensively, defensively, we're going to die, and then we just lose. If I use all of my abilities defensively, we survive, and then we just win. So why am I not going for sheeps? Because it would put us in a spot to lose the game. Why am I not, you know, trying to win this game sooner? Because if I did, it would put us in a spot to lose the game. So a lot of these things, it's like hard, but you almost have to just like play patiently, play very well defensively, and then you'll eventually win. Here, look, guys, the monk's at 3% mana. The monk can't heal through our damage much anymore. Now it doesn't matter if we hit the warrior or the shaman. As long as damage is constantly coming out, he's not going to be able to heal through this. Dampening isn't even in yet, but that's one of the weaknesses of Mistweaver monks. But you could do this to really like any healer, or at least a lot of healers. And in some games, you are on some type of a clock. If you're playing like an LSD, you would have a shorter clock, right? Because the priest is going to go out of mana as well. But the pressure, the spread pressure is definitely pretty scary, especially if Throke's playing Phantom Knives. Now the monk sits down for a second, gets that shrink to about 15% mana, which isn't a huge deal. I could have been a little more proactive on that, but at the end of the day, we're still winning in mana, and this guy's still going to go as this game goes on. I have Arcane Power, Presence of Mind available. Actually landed the full sheeps. That was what, the first full, I forgot to count, but I think that was the first full sheep of the game, maybe the second, but regardless, you get my point. It's not going for like, oh, full kidney into sheep every time. That's not what we're going for at all. right? The Shaman and the Warrior both taking a lot of damage. Shaman is forced to pop as well. Warrior's chasing me a little bit, just kind of kiting, running, keeping slow on the Warrior when I can, keeping slow on the Shaman when I can, using those kick on the Hexes when I can, but mainly just keeping up damage. And as far as damage, guys, you see a lot of Arcane Explosions coming out. This isn't because I'm a noob, it's because Arcane Explosions give you Arcane stacks, and then it's instant cast. Rogue gets very low there. Actually, pop Mass Invisibility here in a second. I don't know what I was doing there. Maybe, I don't know, kind of stood still for a second, pop that Mass Invisibility, and just spamming Sheep and Slow onto pretty much everything to keep everything, or keep my Rogue okay, keep everything stable for the time being. But yeah, we don't really need those constant Sheeps. As far as the Arcane Explosions, it's good damage, gives me Arcane Orbs, and then I don't have a chance to get kicked, and then I can keep the consistent pressure with the Arcane Explosions and the Arcane Barrages once we're at 4 stacks, once they're stacked up. So Arcane Explosion times 4, Arcane Barrage, Arcane Explosion times 4, Arcane Barrage is pretty good PvP DPS. Even if you're PvE watching this, you're probably like face palming. You're like, what? Why? Stop. But I swear it's actually good, because just risking getting kicked in Arcane when Arcane is your only school in PvP is awful, right? As a Frost Mage, if you get kicked in Frost, at least you can cast Polymorph, you know? As a Fire Mage, if you get kicked in Fire, you can cast Polymorph, or even Ring of Frost if you're running Ring of Frost. As an Arcane Mage, guess what? You get kicked in Arcane, you're out of luck for the whole duration of the lockout. You can't really do much at all, and that's why a lot of the times just Arcane Explosion is the way to go. Get that Sheep on the Shaman there. It looks like my Priest is going to be okay, so I break it pretty much immediately afterwards, but I don't want to just throw this game away. The Monk does come in a little bit, block that CC, land the full Sheep. Full Sheep didn't really matter. Warrior died anyway, and we were kind of destined to win that game, right? We kind of set ourselves up for victory there just by the way we are playing. We're not going to let ourselves die. If there was any moment where we needed help, my Rogue would vanish double Sheep. I would Mass Invisibility. I would spam Polymorph. We're going to keep ourselves alive, and if we just keep ourselves alive, look at the damage breakdown of this game, guys. We're going to destroy them in damage. So Assassin RMP overall, very different than what I'm used to, but I have been enjoying it, and I think it's a very solid composition. I would recommend that you guys try it out, and down below, let me know in the comments if you guys tried this out and if you liked this composition. Thumbs video up, guys, if you liked it, if you learned something. Thumbs video down if you didn't like it, and talk to me in the comments once again, and don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you guys next time. Peace!